No path is too long for Manolo Hernandez, and certainly not the Camino de Santiago. Walking is a way to find himself.
For me, the Camino is definitely existential. It's real life.
He's walking the Camino de Santiago towards the Catholic pilgrimage site of Santiago de Compostela in the northwest of Spain. It's his 99th time on the route. That's despite the fact that he's an atheist and is recovering from a severe COVID infection. Lires, on Spain's Atlantic coast. It's 6 a.m. when Manolo begins his journey. It's more than 100 kilometers to Santiago. He wants to cover the distance in 3 days.
When I leave at this time, I feel much more alive. It's a completely different feeling. I couldn't set off at 10 in the morning.
Manolo is always an early riser, even back home in Sabadell near Barcelona. He's a lawyer, and around this time he'd almost be at his desk at the law firm. But here, the 65-year-old lets himself be driven by his inner impulses and by nature.
This light, the birds singing, these colors. When you're at home in your city or village, inside, you don't feel all this. You don't perceive it. Here, you can enjoy real life, the world.
Not every pilgrim is as committed a hiker as Manolo. At the lighthouse at Cape Finisterre, he meets someone else who happens to be from his region. José Rodriguez can't manage long stretches of hiking anymore, but still, he's come. José admits that he got here by taxi and brought a suitcase with him. He'd like to hike, but his back just can't handle carrying heavy loads, especially because the roads around here are steep. José does the pilgrimage for religious reasons.
I promised one of my sisters. She was younger than me. She's gone to heaven. I promised her I would walk the Camino de Santiago. She's always with me. Look, here she is.
Manolo made his first pilgrimage 24 years ago. He'd had a knee operation and wanted physical exercise. He also wanted to test himself. The religious side of the Camino is foreign to him.
I'm an atheist, thank God. The walking gives me a lot, but nothing religious. It gives me physical and spiritual strength and a love of life. I come to find myself. When I get home, after a while my nerves tense up again because of work and the stressful pace of life. Then my wife and my daughter say, "Manolo, maybe it's time to set off walking again." So off I go again on the Camino, and I come back a new man.
In Finisterre, Manolo has his pilgrim passport stamped to prove he was here. To get his certificate, or Compostela, he has to walk at least 100 kilometers.
Good morning. Can I get the pilgrim stamp here?
For over 1,000 years, people from all around the world have been making the pilgrimage to Santiago, the supposed burial place of St. James in Spain's Galicia region. For the locals, pilgrims are simply part of life, Even though neither of these two have actually walked the Camino de Santiago, they're happy to chat with Manolo as he passes through.
With the Pilgrims, life here has changed. There's more tourism. In the beginning, they weren't welcome. People saw them as hippies, people with no money who were just a nuisance. Today, they're an economic factor in the Finisterre region.
Since the 1970s, the Camino de Santiago's popularity has surged. In 2019, before the pandemic, nearly 350,000 people went on the pilgrimage for all sorts of reasons.
The Camino makes me a better person, a more communicative person. Normally I'm not so open and outgoing around other people, but here I soak up everything like a sponge. I want to talk to everyone. That's what the Camino does. It changes me.
The traditional greeting among pilgrims is Buen Camino, meaning good path or have a good journey. After 46 kilometers and 10 straight hours of walking, Manolo reaches his first goal, a hostel in Olvejoa.
The pilgrim of 1,000 paths, the fastest of them all. How are your wounds?
Dire. Bad.
Well, we have a chainsaw.
Great. Better than a first aid kit.
Manolo chats with some other pilgrims. They've walked today from the small town of Negreira. By now, Manolo is known almost wherever he goes. Making new connections with people is part of the experience.
You get to know people without any preconceptions, because some things just don't matter here. And you also don't know if you'll ever see each other again. So some really authentic connections come about very quickly.
The next day, 35 kilometers await Manolo. It's a struggle. The distance takes its toll. His feet get sore. But that's nothing to what he went through last year. The coronavirus infection hit him hard, and he even ended up in the hospital. He still feels weakened because of it.
I recovered from COVID and left the hospital, but it was as though something was missing. Now, to be able to return to the Camino de Santiago, despite the virus and all the difficulties, it's like having an additional life, a second life.
The effects of the pandemic were felt everywhere here. Border closures and lockdowns meant fewer pilgrims visiting hostels and restaurants. Now, publicans like Paco Lopez are slowly trying to get back on their feet.
It's important that people are coming back. It feels good. It helps us forget the past year.
Manolo keeps moving. He doesn't like taking long breaks. All in all, he's already covered more than 20,000 kilometers on the Camino de Santiago. Not that he's interested in setting records, it just turned out that way.
I'm hyperactive. I can't keep still. If I woke up, set off, and got to the hostel or hotel at 11 or 12 o'clock, I couldn't just stay there until the next day. That would kill me. And even if I'm moving very fast on the Camino, I don't miss out on anything.
After 35 kilometers and 7.5 hours, he reaches Negreira.
The beginning of the next stage tomorrow will be hard. It's no walk in the park, but as long as I warm up, it'll be fine. I always try to reach my limits. That helps in life. If I know what my limits are with hiking, I can know what they are in my personal and professional life. I know how far I can go, and that I can always go a bit further.
On day 3, Manolo has to hike another 22 kilometers. But finally, he's nearing Santiago, the goal of all the pilgrims on the Camino.
Arriving here is different every time. It always feels different. Sometimes you're overcome by emotion, and sometimes fatigue. I don't think any of the 99 times have been the same.
After 103 kilometers, he's done. His next pilgrimage will be his 100th. Manolo is given his latest Compostela certificate in Latin with the stamp of the cathedral.
Perfecto, muy amable. Muchísimas gracias. El 100 para mí va a ser muy.
The 100th Camino de Santiago will be something very special and personal for me. I won't want anyone else there, just me. I'd like to feel really on my own.
For now, he wants to reunite with an old friend, so to speak, in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. St. James, said to be buried here. Standing face to face with the saint is enough to make even the atheist Manolo feel devout. He says that when he dies, he would like it to be on the Camino de Santiago.
The circle of life closes with death. I'm not afraid of it, and I'm no stranger to it. In fact, when it approaches me, I want it to happen in the place that gives me life, the Camino de Santiago.